Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Ala's World of Finance. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. In today's video, we're going to talk about the three stocks that I'm investing in the most in July 2017. So a quick spoiler, they're the same stocks from June: Nintendo, AMD, and Disney. They haven't changed yet. I didn't want to throw in some random stocks. These are the three biggest stocks that I'm investing in the most right now in July. And there is a fourth stock. My fourth biggest stock is Activision Blizzard, but I can't really include that one because it would make the video too long. So I may talk about that one next month, and who knows, maybe it'll take the place of like Disney or something. But right now, my three biggest stocks are still Nintendo, AMD, and Disney. So before we get started, I just want to say a couple things. So one thing is that I can't include everything about these stocks in one video because it would be a humongous video. So I'm mostly talking about the biggest reasons why I'm investing in them. It's still going to be very detailed, but I can't include everything. So hopefully you guys can understand. And then the other thing is that if you watch all the way to the end of the video, there's going to be a surprise. I'm going to be doing a Street Fighter match online against an opponent on the Nintendo Switch, and you guys will get to see it. So hopefully I win, but you might see me get beat up. So anyway, that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's start with Nintendo. Okay, so it's my biggest stock. Let's look at how it's been performing since June. So in the past 5 days performance from MarketWatch.com, past 5 day performance is negative 3.22%. So it kind of dipped a little bit. But for 1 month performance, it's still up over 10%. So it's still doing very well for me. And 3 months performance up almost 45%. So it's doing very well. Now, when looking at Nintendo, why are the reasons why I'm investing in it? Well, the biggest number one reason is because of the Nintendo Switch. And I've said it many times, but this is a revolutionary console that you can play on the go in handheld mode, or you can set it down into a dock and it projects onto a television, and so you can play on the couch as well. So two different modes that you can play in. Well, let's look at the sales for the Nintendo Switch. So we just found out that in Japan it has sold over 1 million units in less than 4 months. So by the way, that's faster than the PS3 and the PS4. It's not quite as fast as handheld Game Boys, like Game Boy Advance and DS and 3DS, but that's because Japan has a huge following for like small handheld consoles and mobile gaming and stuff like that. They're kind of crazy about that stuff. Now, if that wasn't big enough numbers, it sold almost 1 million units in the US alone in just 1 month from being released. So it was released in, I believe it was March 3rd, and in just a month it sold almost 1 million. And it sold almost 3 million, well, I should say it shipped almost 3 million units worldwide in just March. But obviously it's sold out, like it's sold out everywhere. And in May, the Nintendo Switch rose Nintendo's share price to levels that haven't even been seen since they had the Nintendo Wii, which is a huge success. But when they had the Nintendo Wii, stock price was at around $80. Right now, Nintendo stock is at around $40. But I consider that a good thing because to me, it means that Nintendo stock can still go up. But we'll talk a little more about that later. Okay, and in June, so this past month here, in June, it helped raise Nintendo's market cap to levels higher than Sony. So Nintendo was at 48.9 billion and Sony was at 48.5. So it actually passed Sony. And not only that, but this Nintendo Switch hasn't even been available. So if you go to your local Best Buy or GameStop, it's been sold out. They've actually mentioned that it's one of the reasons why they've sold so well in electronics and they did well in their earnings report was because of the Nintendo Switch, but it's sold out everywhere. On Amazon, whenever Amazon gets it in stock, it sells out within minutes, so you can't even get it. So imagine what the numbers would be if you could actually even buy the Nintendo Switch. And a big reason why is because Nintendo was being very cautious with the Nintendo Switch because the Wii U was a huge failure. So they were being cautious with the Nintendo Switch and weren't producing that many. But now that we know that it's been a success, it's being reported that they're ramping up production. They've actually doubled production estimates to 16 million and then they increased it to 18 million. So they're really increasing it a lot. And I mentioned that when those reports were coming out, I mentioned that a big reason why I believe that was happening was because I thought that Pokemon was going to get announced for the Nintendo Switch, and it actually did, and so we're going to talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So Pokemon is another big reason why I'm investing in Nintendo. And at E3, a lot of people think that Nintendo actually won E3 against Sony and Microsoft. And a big reason why is because Nintendo announced Metroid Prime for the Nintendo Switch, and they announced Pokemon for the Nintendo Switch, a mainline core RPG Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch, which people have been begging for so long. And so now it's finally coming to the Switch, and you know that is just gonna like drive up Nintendo Switch sales an insane amount, and it's already sold out, so you know it's just going to go up even more. So that's one of the reasons why I think the Nintendo Switch can reach levels of the Nintendo Wii, and that's where I see the price for their stock going. But Pokemon isn't going to come out to the Nintendo Switch until like late next year, so that pretty much makes Nintendo a type of stock that I can just hold for long term, and I don't really have to worry about short-term volatility because I know that Pokemon is coming to the Switch and it's going to really just drive up sales a lot. So let's talk about Pokemon for a second. When looking at the top 50 best-selling games in history, Game Freak as a publisher was actually had the highest amount of games on that list with 8 games, and they were all Pokemon games. And that's including games that were also shipped with consoles. So if you remove those games from the list, Pokemon would actually be number 1 also. So that's insane. Now, looking at the last Pokemon games that were out, Pokemon Sun and Moon, they were released in November 18, and from that release date to the end of that month, they sold 3.7 million in the Americas alone. That made it Nintendo's fastest selling game ever in that region. And 44 days since launch, they sold 14.69 million copies. That's insane. That's around 334,000 copies a day. So that's like an insane amount. And some of that was due to Pokemon Go's success, but Pokemon Go kind of crashed a little bit because they didn't have some of the functionality that people were asking for, like trading and player versus player battles. But they've said that they're going to add that. So when they do add it, that's going to help bring back Pokemon Go at least a little bit. And we know that Nintendo gets 19% of Pokemon Go's revenue. And Nintendo has a stake in Pokemon and Game Freak, so that's really good for them as well. But the main thing here is that it's going to really drive up Nintendo Switch sales, and we know how successful the NES Classic Edition was. The problem was that they weren't producing that many, so it was like sold out and people couldn't get it, but it sold out, and so it was still successful. And now they're coming out with the SNES Classic, and that one is all the like pre-orders are sold out already as well. So there's a huge demand for classic Nintendo games, and whenever Nintendo releases the Virtual Console for the Switch, you'll be able to play classic games on the Switch, on the go. This is going to be insane. So that's also going to help bring up sales. So that's the main reasons why I'm so bullish on Nintendo stock. So let's take a quick look at their stock. They're at $41.82 at the moment. When looking at MarketWatch.com, there's 22 ratings, and we're going to talk about them in a second, but with an average price target of $45.24, so a little bit above what it is right now. But like I mentioned, I expect that to go up a lot, especially like end of next year when Pokemon comes out for Switch. Now, current year estimates are at 88 cents. And next fiscal year estimate is going to almost double to 1.59 cents. And then the median PE for the current year estimate is at 49.39, and that's going to almost be cut in half to 29.62 for the estimate for next year. So that's really good as well. So I really just see them continuing to do well. Now, looking at those estimates that we mentioned, 22 estimates, 14 of them have a buy rating. One has overweight, and then 5 have a hold, and then only 1 has underweight, and only 1 has sell. So really good ratings as well. So anyway, that's the reasons why I am really bullish on Nintendo. So now let's move on to AMD. So looking at AMD's performance, their 5-day performance, they're down almost 12%. So a very significant drop in AMD share price for the past week performance. Now, 1-month performance is still very good, up almost 15%, but 3-month performance is almost down 15%, and then year-to-date up over 10%. But the 1-month performance is still very good, almost up 15%, but obviously this past week they've had a lot of things go wrong. So why are they having this dip, and why are people panicking? So there's a few reasons for it. Well, one is the tech pullback or the tech sell-off or the transition from the tech sector from growth stocks into value stocks like the financial sector. There's whatever you want to call it. The tech sector was struggling this week, and it's been pretty volatile, and so there's been a lot of things going on there. So that's hurting AMD. Goldman Sachs gave AMD a sell rating, so that also hurt AMD. Lisa Su and other higher ups cashed in some of their shares, so that also hurt AMD. So it's like if we didn't have enough things going wrong, there's also reports that Nvidia will offer competitive crypto mining GPUs at competitive pricing, and we know that AMD has been pretty dominant in that area, but now AMD is looking like they're going to start being competitive. So when looking at that report, this analyst basically went to Asia and he's saying that Nvidia will release 2 new cryptocurrency specific GPUs during the third quarter. And he also says as these new products are more price competitive, they may pose a risk to AMD's current offerings in the market. The new cards may upset AMD's crypto dominance. Nvidia and AMD did not comment on it. So now I'm not a huge expert on cryptocurrency. I know a little bit, but not a lot. And what I have to rely on is reviews and other reports that I've read. And from my understanding, I believe that AMD actually has superior technology, whereas it was more rumored that Nvidia was repurposing some of their older GPUs to function more specifically for crypto mining. But either way, whatever the case is, either way, I can't really find a lot of hard evidence or proof for any of these claims. I don't really know exactly what's going on, so I'm not going to worry too much. I think a lot of it is speculation, and we also know that AMD has already been dominating, and there's even speculation that AMD is coming out with their own cryptocurrency GPUs that they will have competing against whatever Nvidia is coming out with, and that might help them kind of gain back some of the market if Nvidia does steal some. So either way, I feel like some of it is speculation. I don't really know a lot about it. I'm not worrying too much about it, but I know that a lot of analysts are worrying about it, and some people are panicking about it. Anyway, the reasons why I'm bullish on AMD. So there's Ryzen, Vega, and EPYC. And I've talked a lot about them, so I'll try to keep it a little short here. But when looking at Ryzen, we've talked a lot about Ryzen 3, 5, 7, and obviously Threadripper. And that Threadripper is my favorite, and it's the 16-core CPU that is going to compete with Intel's Core i9 18-core CPU, so flagship versus flagship. But the thing is that Threadripper is looking like it's going to be probably less than half the price of the Intel Core i9 18-core. So I think that the Threadripper will be at a much more attractive price, and I think that it will sell well because of that. Now, they also announced this week that they will have enterprise versions of Ryzen 3, 5, and 7 available by the end of the year. And these will have additional security functionalities like encryption that is independent from the operating system, as well as always-on security for the BIOS. And this is similar to Intel's vPro technology, but that's only offered on Intel Core i5 and i7, not on the entry-level i3, whereas AMD will have it available on all Ryzen Pro chips, including their cheapest Ryzen 3. So I think that that's a good thing. And the Pro-powered desktops will go on sale at the end of the year, while Pro-powered laptops will be available in the first half of 2018. Okay, looking at the Vega GPUs, so the Frontier Edition was released this week. It's a high-end GPU aimed at professionals and workstations. The RX Vega is looking like it's going to be released at the end of July, and that one's aimed more at gamers, and it will be cheaper and more gaming optimized. Now, we know that the iMac Pro will use the AMD Radeon Pro Vega GPU, which is a great thing because Apple is saying that it's like the most powerful Mac ever. And when looking at the GPU market, AMD has been in the low to medium end GPU market, but now they're finally getting back into the high end GPU market. So lately they were in the low to medium, but now it looks like they're kind of jumping back into the high end. And so when looking at the GPU market, John Petty Research, they said that AMD overall desktop GPU market share increased from 20% in quarter 4 of 2015 to 28% in quarter 4 2016. So they've been having an increase. However, Nvidia did respond by cutting prices to their GPUs, and they also released new GPUs in the second quarter, while AMD delayed their Vega GPUs essentially to the third quarter. But now it's time for AMD to steal more of the market, and they can also price their GPUs cheaper than Nvidia because they know what Nvidia's pricing is, because Nvidia already released theirs. So AMD can kind of come out with a more competitive price, and they'll have the newer ones, and hopefully that will steal some of the market. I don't know how well it will do, but I'm hoping that at least I'm hoping that it will do well. Okay, moving on to EPYC. So EPYC is actually one of the reasons why I'm most excited about AMD. And they recently had an event to launch the EPYC for the data center. And this offers up to 32 high-performance Zen cores using AMD's Infinity Fabric technology. So it's massive, it's really good. And at this event, they showed off amazing performance and announced a big list of partners including Microsoft Azure, Dell, HP, Samsung, Lenovo, Asus, and many more. And Canaccord Genuity, they were there, and they were talking about this, and they basically reported that they expect AMD to make over $100 million in revenue this year from Epic, and that it will increase a lot in 2018, and then that it will be over $1 billion. It will be an over $1 billion server business by 2020. And they raised their price target to $20 per share. So they're very bullish on it. And, I kind of agree with them on a lot of different things. Okay, so now let's look at their stock a little bit. So their price right now is at $12.49. When looking at what MarketWatch has to say here, they have 30 ratings. The average recommendation is hold. So it's not, they're not super bullish on it. The average target price is actually lower at $12.41. But when we look at the current year's EPS estimate, it's at 7 cents, whereas a year ago it was at negative 15 cents. And in the upcoming year, it's estimated at 29 cents. So it looks like it's going to be increasing. And then when we look at those 30 ratings that we talked about, they have 9 of them have a buy rating, 0 have overweight, 16 have hold, 0 have underweight, and then 5 have sell. But where where I'm at in that category. I'm obviously in the buy. So anyway, those are the reasons why I like AMD. So now let's move on to Disney. Their 5-day performance is actually up a little bit, almost at 2% positive. But in 1 month performance, this is using MarketWatch.com, they are actually down 0.87%. So it's the one stock out of my 3 that has performed bad for the month. And 3-month performance down over 6%, but year to date up almost 2%. And then in 1 year up only a little over 8%. So it really hasn't been performing that great. So why do I like Disney so much? Well, I think that Disney is a great stock to hold forever. It owns some of the greatest brands in history, and its portfolio is basically as diverse as you could ask for, at least in my opinion. Not just that, but the stock really hasn't been performing well. And we just looked at the numbers and saw that, but this is especially the case considering how high the markets have become, how up that the markets have been this year. And Disney just really hasn't performed on par with those. Now, this is almost entirely because of ESPN numbers, and those being underwhelming, but ESPN is still actually a great asset if Disney plays its cards right, which they've mentioned plenty of times. I've actually listened to their live earning calls, and they have mentioned that they have big plans to adjust and to transition from traditional broadcasting to more digital and mobile methods. Not only that, but lots of big players like Facebook, for example, are trying to stream more sports games, and ESPN is already in the best position to really dominate that market. And that's kind of, that's some of the things that Disney has mentioned in their earnings calls, and that's really where they plan to go with ESPN. Now, in my opinion, this makes Disney a great value stock that still has some decent growth potential in the future. And since I usually invest in mostly growth stocks, and most of my stocks are really like growth stocks, to be honest. I have a few value stocks, but a lot of them are growth stocks. And so I like to throw in a nice, really long-term value stock in there every once in a while, just to kind of mix it up. And so that's why it's my 3rd largest stock. And I love Disney because I can just hold on to it forever, and I don't really have to lose sleep or worry about the volatility. Now, let's take a look at Disney. So when looking at theme parks, they continue to produce strong numbers. In fact, last quarter sales were up 9% year over year, and net income was up 20% year over year. When looking at their studio business, studio income was up 21% in the quarter, but people focused on the 3% drop in net income from media networks and declining subscriptions for ESPN. Well, despite the drop and subscriber issues with ESPN, media networks are still insanely profitable for Disney, and they generated $2.22 billion in operating income last quarter alone. Now, when looking at Disney's valuation, Disney trades with a trailing PE ratio of 18.2 according to Yahoo Finance, which is lower than Disney's 5-year average ratio of 19.6. And according to MarketWatch, they have a median estimate of 18.08 this year, and next year it decreases to a ratio of 15.93. Not just that, but Disney has also increased their dividend payouts from 35 cents in 2009 all the way to $1.49 last year. And they've also increased dividends 7 of the last 10 years, with 6 being in double-digit percentages. And it's trading similarly to its rivals like CBS, Fox, and Time Warner, but Disney, in my opinion, I consider them a much better stock than those. And when looking at Disney, they own ABC, Disney Channel, ESPN, but it's really the movie division that I like the most. And they've really been dominating the box office for the 3rd year in a row. And they own franchises and movies like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, Pirates of the Caribbean, and all those Disney movies that continue to be successful like Frozen and Beauty and the Beast. Not just that, but we have so much to look forward to with Star Wars and Marvel alone. There's huge stuff coming up, and I've talked about it in a lot of my videos, so I don't really want to go over it here and waste your guys' time. But anyway, those are the reasons why I really like Disney. And well, and before we end that, let's just take a quick look at MarketWatch here. So when looking at MarketWatch, their price is $106.43 for Disney. And there are 31 ratings here. The average target price is at $118.96, so it's considerably higher. And when looking at the we already talked about the PE ratio. Now let's look at those ratings. So when looking at those 31 ratings, we can see that there is 17 with a buy rating, 1 with an overrate, 11 with a hold, 0 with underweight, and only 2 for sell. So even the ratings are pretty good. 11 with hold, that is considerably high, but 17 with buy, so that's also very, very high there. Okay, so just to kind of sum it up, so can Disney have some volatile quarters and have some dips still? Sure, of course they can. But at the end of the day, they have some of the best brands out there that are never going to really go away, and they're going to find ways to adjust with ESPN. I truly believe that. And I think that in the long term, they're just a great stock to hold for a very long time, and I just consider them a really nice value stock right now. So anyway, that's why I like Disney so much. Okay, so that was my 3 picks for July. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you are new, please consider subscribing. I do stock videos all the time. And if you like the video, please hit the like button because it really helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it. And anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching all the way up to this point. Now it's time to play some video games. So I hope you enjoy this. Let's get started. All right, here we go. Gonna choose my boy Guile. Gotta support the troops. All right, we're gonna put some DMX music in the background, get me pumped up. Cause X gon' give it to ya. Where my subscriber dogs at? Ruff, ruff. Ruff, ruff. Don't get it twisted, Cammy. Don't get it twisted. Here we go. It's what you heard, Cammy. It's what you hearing, Cammy. Hey, relax. Hey, this chick's crazy. Hey. Hey, ref, she scratched me. Where's the ref? Is that allowed? Hey. Dude, what fight is the ref watching? She was scratching me like, she scratched me like 10 times. All right, here we go. For all my subscriber dogs. Ruff, ruff. Where my dogs at? Here we go. Sonic Boom, baby. Sonic Boom, baby. Oh, wait. Hold up, Cammy. Sonic Boom. Oh. Sonic Boom, baby. Oh, she's not letting me. Ref, tell her to give me some space. Sonic Boom. Ah. Sonic Boom, baby. What's up, Cammy? Came out to play. Stay out my way. Ruff, ruff. X gon' give it to you, Cammy. Hey, relax. I don't want no trouble. That's my Jackie Chan from Rush Hour. I don't want no trouble. Hey, this chick's crazy. Where you at? Here we go, Sonic Boom, baby. Oh, wait, this is my chance. Boom, baby. Sonic Boom, baby. Sonic Boom. That's what's up. Alright, thank you for watching, everybody. Sorry for all the trash talking. I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful day. Take care.